Don't come. It's better if Paula doesn't show up. The words glowed on my phone screen, cold and sharp, like a knife to the chest. For a moment, I thought my tired eyes were playing tricks on me. I blinked, read the message again, and then again, each time hoping it would somehow change. But it didn't. It was still there, staring back at me, from my parents. I could almost hear my heart pounding in my ears. It was 3 days before Christmas, and instead of excitement and warmth, I was hit with a sentence that felt like the ground crumbling beneath my feet. Christmas was supposed to be our family's sacred tradition. Growing up, our small house always came alive this time of year. My mum would bake endless batches of gingerbread cookies, their spicy sweet smell filling every corner of the house. Dad would untangle the string of old fairy lights, humming off-key Christmas carols, as he wrapped them around the tree. I had vivid memories of us sitting together, sipping hot cocoa, our laughter mixing with the crackle of the fireplace. Even now, at 27 years old, I'd never missed a single Christmas with them. No matter how busy life got, Christmas meant family. But this year, this text, it felt like a stranger had hijacked my entire world. Better if Paula doesn't show up. The words replayed in my head like a haunting echo. My throat tightened, and a chill ran down my spine. Why would they send me that? Had I done something wrong without realizing it? Were they angry at me, or was it something worse? I forced my trembling hands to type back quickly. Why? What's going on? I hit send and stared at the screen, willing it to light up with their reply. Seconds passed, then minutes. Nothing. The tiny message delivered checkmark mocked me. They'd seen it, but they weren't answering. The longest evening of my life. The clock on my wall ticked louder than usual, each second stretching into an eternity. I couldn't sit still. I paced my tiny apartment, my bare feet making soft thuds. On the wooden floor, every corner of the room reminded me of them. The framed photo of last year's Christmas sat on my coffee table. Me, Mom, and Dad, all wearing matching pajamas and goofy smiles. The sight made my chest ache. None of this made sense. My parents weren't secretive people. If something was wrong, they would tell me. Wouldn't they? I sank onto the couch, my mind spiraling. A million scenarios ran through my head. Maybe they were fighting and didn't want me caught in the middle. Maybe someone was sick and they didn't want to ruin my holiday. Or maybe they were in danger. The thought made me gasp aloud. Could someone have forced them to send that message? I grabbed my phone and called my mom's number. It rang once. Twice, 3 times, then straight to voicemail. Mom, it's me. Please call me back. I got your text, and I don't understand. Please? I'm worried. My voice cracked as I ended the call. I immediately tried my dad's phone. Same result, straight to voicemail. By now, panic was clawing at my insides. I sent another message, this one more desperate than the first. I don't understand. Please explain. Are you okay? I stared at my phone so hard it hurt my eyes. Still, silence. The wait that felt like forever. Hours crawled by. The sky outside my window turned from gold to deep blue, then to the inky black of night. Christmas lights from neighboring apartments twinkled cheerfully, mocking the storm, raging inside me. I couldn't eat. I couldn't even drink water. All I could do was replay the text in my mind and imagine worst-case scenarios. What if they were hurt? What if they were being held hostage? What if they weren't even alive anymore? Each horrible thought made my chest tighten until I could barely breathe. I curled up on the couch, clutching my phone like a lifeline. At some point, I must have dozed off. But even sleep didn't bring peace. I had nightmares, dark and vivid. In one dream, I stood outside my parents' house. The windows were dark, the curtains drawn. The door creaked open slowly, and inside, there was nothing, just silence, and a thick, choking darkness. Something moved in the shadows, something I couldn't see but could feel. Cold and menacing, I woke up gasping, my heart pounding so hard, I thought it would burst out of my chest. The room was pitch black, except for the faint glow of my phone screen. Scrambled to check it. No new messages, no missed calls. The fear that had been simmering all day boiled over into determination. I couldn't just sit here and do nothing. If my parents wouldn't tell me what was going on, I'd have to find out myself. An ominous decision. It was almost 3 a.m., but I didn't care. I grabbed my jacket, stuffed a few essentials into a backpack, and stood by the door, my hand hovering over the knob. For a brief moment, doubt crept in. Was I overreacting? Maybe there was a simple explanation, and I'd just make things worse by showing up uninvited. But then I remembered the tone of that message. Cold, final, better. If Paula doesn't show up, it didn't sound like my parents at all. Sounded like a warning, or a threat. With my heart pounding, I locked my apartment behind me and headed to my car. The roads would be icy, the drive long and dangerous, but nothing compared to the storm raging inside me. As I started the engine, I whispered to myself, "Hang on, Mom. Hang on. Dad, I'm coming." Little did I know, the next 24 hours would unravel secrets I never imagined and change Christmas forever. By the time the sun rose, I knew I couldn't take another second of waiting. I hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, just sat there staring at my phone, praying for a message, a missed call, something. But there was only silence. My parents weren't just avoiding me. Something was wrong. I threw a few essentials into a bag, phone charger, wallet, and an extra sweater. The roads were slick with ice this time of year, and the temperature was already below freezing. As I zipped my bag, my hand shook, not from the cold, but from sheer dread. "Please be okay," I whispered into the stillness of my apartment. Then I grabbed my car keys and left. The drive that felt endless, the trip to my parents' house usually took a little over 2 hours, but that morning, every mile felt like a lifetime. The icy backroads twisted through forests and small, quiet towns. As my tires crunched over the snow, I kept glancing at my phone, which sat in the cup holder like a silent companion. No notifications, no messages. The farther I drove, the heavier the feeling in my chest grew. When I was about 30 minutes away, I passed through a tiny village decorated for the holidays. Cheerful lights blinked on porches. Families walked bundled in coats. Kids built snowmen in their yards. It was the kind of scene that used to make me smile. But today, it just felt wrong, like I was moving through a different world entirely. By the time I turned onto my parents' street, my knuckles were white from gripping the steering wheel so tightly. The darkness that didn't belong. Their house came into view, and my breath caught. Every year, my parents went all out with decorations. Bright strings of lights lined the roof. A giant glowing reindeer stood on the lawn, and Mom always hung a huge wreath on the front door. Even before you reached the driveway, you could feel the holiday spirit radiating from their home. But now, there was nothing. The house sat in complete darkness. No lights, no cheerful glow from the windows. The wreath was missing, the reindeer gone. It looked like an abandoned house, not the warm, lively home I'd grown up in. A cold shiver ran down my spine. As I pulled into the driveway, something about the scene felt wrong, like the house itself was holding its breath. I climbed out of the car, the crunch of snow under my boots deafening in the silence. "Mom, Dad," I called, my voice trembling. The only answer was the distant howl of wind through the trees. I tried again, louder this time. "Mom, Dad, it's me, Paula." Still, nothing. My stomach dropped like a stone. Every instinct screamed at me to turn around and leave, but I forced myself forward. I had to know. An empty house. That wasn't quite empty. I knocked on the door, once, twice, 3 times. No response. I reached for the handle and froze. The door was unlocked. My parents always locked their doors, especially at night or during winter storms. The fact that it was open now sent a jolt of fear through me. Slowly, I pushed it open and stepped inside. "Hello?" My voice cracked. "It's Paula." The first thing that hit me was the cold. The house felt like a freezer, so cold it burned my skin. The second thing was the stillness. It wasn't just quiet. It was unnaturally quiet, the kind of silence that makes your heart race. I scanned the living room, and my heart sank further. The Christmas tree stood in the corner, half decorated. A box of ornaments lay on its side, glittering baubles scattered across the floor, like someone had dropped everything and left in a hurry. One ornament, a glass angel, was shattered, its sharp pieces glinting in the faint light. "Mom." "Dad," I called again, my voice trembling. No answer, only the oppressive silence pressing in on me. I took a cautious step forward, then another, my boots crunching softly on the broken ornament shards. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to run, but I forced myself to keep moving. Chilling clues. When I reached the kitchen, I froze. On the counter sat 2 cups of coffee. One mug was Mom's favorite, decorated with little snowflakes. The other was Dad's plain black mug. Both cups were filled, but stone cold, as if they'd been poured hours ago and then forgotten. My hands trembled as I touched one. The coffee was icy, congealed at the edges. My parents had been here recently, very recently, and then they'd just vanished. My mind reeled. It didn't make sense. People don't just disappear like that. I yanked my phone from my pocket and dialed Mom's number. Straight to voicemail. "Mom, please pick up," I begged, my voice breaking. I tried Dad's phone. Same thing, straight to voicemail. Panic clawed at my chest, sharp and suffocating. My thumb hovered over the numbers to call the police when, creak, a soft, unmistakable sound came from directly above me. I froze. The air in my lungs turned to ice. Something upstairs. My head tilted slowly upward. The ceiling beams creaked again, like someone was walking. Very carefully. "Mom," I whispered, barely able to speak. "Dad?" No reply. The logical part of my brain tried to explain it away. Maybe it was just the old house settling. Maybe it was the wind. But deep down, I knew better. I wasn't alone. My pulse roared in my ears as I tiptoed toward the staircase. Each step felt like moving through quicksand, my legs trembling so badly I could barely keep my balance. When I reached the base of the stairs, I gripped the wooden banister for support. That's when I saw it. The handprint. Halfway up the staircase, smeared along the banister, was a large, dark handprint. It wasn't just dirt. The color was too deep, too red. Thick streaks dripped downward, as if whoever made it had been dragging their hand, weak or injured. Or worse. I stared, frozen, my breath catching in my throat. My body screamed at me to run, to get out of the house and never look back. But before I could move, another creak echoed above me, heavier this time, closer. My heart thudded painfully as I whispered into the darkness, "Who's up there?" No answer, only silence, and the overwhelming certainty that I wasn't going to like what I found next. My heart was hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears as I crept up the stairs. Every step groaned beneath my weight, each sound like a scream in the suffocating silence. I clutched my phone in one hand, like a weapon, even though I knew it wouldn't do much good. The soft creaking sound I'd heard before was clearer now. Steady, deliberate. It was coming from my parents' bedroom. My throat went dry. "Mom, Dad," I whispered, praying for an answer. But only silence greeted me, heavy and suffocating. Finally, I reached the top of the stairs. The door to my parents' room stood slightly ajar, a thin line of darkness spilling into the hallway. With trembling fingers, I pushed it open. The chaos inside. I gasped. The room looked like a hurricane had ripped through it. Drawers were yanked out and tossed aside. Clothes scattered like fallen leaves. The mirror above the dresser was shattered, jagged shards glittering ominously on the carpet. The bed was stripped bare, sheets hanging in tatters. Was destruction unlike anything I'd ever seen in this house. A violent struggle had clearly taken place, and then my eyes landed on something in the center of the chaos. A single piece of paper lay on the floor, slightly crumpled. I stumbled forward and snatched it up. My father's handwriting leapt off the page. "Paula, don't come. Stay safe. We love you." The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. My chest heaved, the note trembling in my hands. They hadn't been pushing me away because they didn't love me. They'd been protecting me, and now they were gone. "What is happening?" I choked out, my voice cracking. My knees threatened to give way as panic surged through me. The stranger appears. Behind me, a voice sliced through the silence like a knife. "You weren't supposed to see that." I spun around so fast, I almost lost my balance and nearly screamed. A tall man stood in the doorway. His face was partially hidden beneath a dark hoodie, shadows clinging to him like a second skin. But even from a distance, I could see the glint of cold determination in his eyes, and in his hand was my mum's phone. My stomach dropped like a stone. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice trembling. "Where are my parents? What did you do to them?" He tilted his head slightly, almost amused by my fear. A slow, mocking smirk crept across his face. "Your parents," he said, his voice smooth but laced with menace, "made a mistake. They thought sending that little text would keep you away. But you," he stepped forward, his boots crunching on the shattered glass. "You just couldn't listen, could you?" I stumbled backward, my breath coming in shallow gasps. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs felt like they were made of stone. It was like being trapped in a nightmare. The horrifying truth. The man's eyes darkened as he moved closer, his shadow stretching toward me. "Your parents owed me money. A lot of it. More than you can imagine," he hissed. I swallowed hard, my pulse pounding. "Money? My parents don't have enemies. They're good people," he chuckled, the sound low and cruel. "Good people, maybe. But they made a deal they couldn't keep. They thought they could hide from me, thought they could protect you by sending you away." His lips curled into a sneer. Stupid, really. The puzzle pieces slammed together in my mind. The strange text, the silent house, the cold coffee cups, abandoned mid-sip. My parents hadn't abandoned me. They were trying to save me. Tears stung my eyes, but I forced myself to stay calm. "What do you want from me?" I asked, my voice shaking. I needed to stall him, to buy time. The threat. "Simple," he said with a shrug, as if we were discussing something as trivial as the weather. "You're going to call your parents. Tell them to come home." My stomach turned to ice, and if they don't, I whispered. The man's smirk widened, and in one terrifyingly smooth motion, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a knife. The blade gleamed under the dim light, catching my reflection for just a moment. "Well," he drawled, taking a deliberate step toward me. "Let's just say they won't like what happens to their precious daughter." A shudder ran through me. The air felt thick, suffocating. Every muscle in my body screamed to run, to fight, to do something, but fear held me captive. Playing his game. I forced myself to breathe, to think. If I panicked now, I'd lose. My parents were out there somewhere, terrified and in danger, and I was the only one who could help them. I swallowed hard and nodded slowly. "Okay," I said, my voice barely more than a whisper. I'll call them." "Good girl," he sneered. "Use your phone. Put it on speaker so I can hear every word." With trembling hands, I picked up my phone, but my mind was racing a mile a minute. If I simply obeyed him, all three of us would be doomed. I needed to warn my parents without letting him know. As I typed out a text, I deliberately included a secret code, a mix of capital letters and numbers only my parents and I would recognize. It was a trick from my childhood, something we used during hide-and-seek games. It meant one thing: danger. Don't come. Call the police. I hit send, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure he could hear it. Then, out loud, I said, "It's done. Now we just wait." The countdown begins. The man leaned against the doorframe, spinning the knife casually in his hand. Every second stretched into an eternity as we sat there in tense silence. I kept my expression neutral, hiding my terror, but inside, I prayed desperately that my parents would understand my hidden message and that they'd act fast. Then, in the distance, faint but unmistakable, came the sound of sirens. The man's head snapped up, his expression twisting into rage. "You!" he snarled, lunging toward me. I stumbled backward, barely dodging, as the blade slashed through the air where I'd been standing seconds earlier. My scream tore through the house as chaos erupted. The truth was out now. And in that moment, I knew this fight was only just beginning. My thoughts were spinning so fast, they felt like a tornado in my head. The man stood in front of me, knife glinting menacingly under the dim hallway light, his shadow stretching across the ruined bedroom floor. I couldn't just do what he wanted. If I called my parents and told them to come home, he'd hurt them, or me. But if I refused, he might snap right now. I had seconds to think, seconds to come up with something that could save all three of us. Then, an idea sparked in the back of my mind. It was risky, so risky that my hands trembled at just the thought of it. But it was the only chance I had. I forced myself to swallow my fear and take a shaky breath. "Okay," I said, pretending to submit, holding my phone up so he could see it. "I'll text them. Just, please don't hurt anyone." His lips curled into a chilling smirk. "That's what I like to hear," he said, lowering the knife slightly, but never letting his guard down. "Type it out, slowly." The hidden message. My fingers hovered over the screen as if paralyzed, but inside, my brain was on fire. I began typing a simple message that looked harmless to him. "I'm home. Please come back." He leaned over my shoulder, reading every word carefully. But what he didn't know was that buried inside the message was a secret code, a childhood trick my parents and I had invented. When I was little, we played hide and seek in the house on stormy nights. We'd send each other silly coded notes using random capital letters sprinkled through sentences. To anyone else, it would look like nonsense. But to us, it meant something very specific. The code I included this time was unmistakable. Danger. Call the police. Don't come home. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure he'd hear it. I kept my face neutral, forcing a tremor of fake fear into my voice. "There," I whispered, holding the phone out. "I sent it." The man snatched the phone from me and scanned the message. Satisfied, he gave a short nod. "Good girl," he said, his tone dripping with mock approval. Now we wait, quietly. the longest minutes of my life. The next few minutes stretched on like hours. We sat in tense silence in the living room, the half-decorated Christmas tree looming in the corner like a ghost of better times. The man paced near the window, spinning the knife in his hand with casual menace. I stayed perfectly still on the couch, every muscle screaming with the effort of keeping calm. My eyes flicked to the clock on the wall. 2 minutes passed, then 5, then 10. With each second, I prayed harder. Please, Mom. Please, Dad. See the code. Understand it. Don't come home. Bring help. The man muttered under his breath, clearly growing impatient. If they don't show up soon, he said darkly, I might have to encourage them. He turned his sharp gaze on me, and I felt a cold wave of terror wash over me. Then, faint at first, but unmistakable, sirens. The chaos erupts. The man's head snapped toward the window, his eyes widening in rage. You, he roared, spinning toward me, realization dawning in his furious expression. He lunged. I screamed, pure adrenaline flooding my veins. My hand shot out, grabbing the 2 cold coffee cups still sitting on the counter. With every ounce of strength I had, I hurled them at his face. Hot coffee might have burned him. But even cold, the ceramic mug struck hard, shattering and sending liquid splashing across his hoodie. He cursed loudly, stumbling backward and clawing at his face. That single second was all I needed. I bolted toward the stairs, my socks slipping on the hardwood, my lungs burning as I screamed, Help! I'm here! Behind me, his furious footsteps thundered after me. You won't get away! He bellowed. The rescue. Before he could reach me, the front door burst open with a deafening crash. Police officers stormed inside, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Get on the ground! Drop the knife! The man froze for a split second, then made a desperate move toward me. But the officers were faster. They tackled him to the floor, wrestling the knife away as he kicked and cursed. Within moments, he was pinned, handcuffed, and completely powerless. I collapsed against the banister, sobbing, my legs too weak to hold me up. The adrenaline drained from my body all at once, leaving me trembling. Then through the chaos, I saw 2 familiar figures rushing toward me. Paula! My mum and dad barreled into the house, their faces pale but alive. I stumbled into their arms, and the 3 of us clung to each other, shaking and crying. For a moment, the world outside didn't exist. It was just us, together and safe. The explanation later, as the police led the man out in handcuffs. My parents and I sat together on the couch, surrounded by officers, taking statements. My mom held my hands tightly, tears still streaming down her face. Paula, she whispered, her voice breaking. We're so sorry. We never wanted you to get caught up in this. My dad nodded, his jaw tight with guilt. That man, he said, gesturing toward the door, is a dangerous criminal. Months ago, we got tangled up with him by accident. He started blackmailing us, threatening to hurt you if we didn't do exactly what he said. My mom's voice cracked. We sent you that awful text to keep you far away. We thought if you stayed safe, we could fix this ourselves. Her sobs grew louder. We never imagined you'd come here, sweetheart. I hugged them both tightly, my own tears falling freely. You don't have to apologize, I said softly. You were just trying to protect me. But I couldn't just sit and do nothing while you were in danger. A Christmas miracle. Later that night, when the chaos finally died down, we sat together by the now lit Christmas tree. The police had taken the man away, and the house, though scarred, finally felt safe again. Dad reached over and squeezed my hand. His voice was thick with emotion as he whispered, "You saved us, Paula. Your quick thinking. It gave us a second chance." I smiled through my tears, my heart swelling with relief and love. "This Christmas," I said softly, "the only thing that matters is that we're together." Mom kissed my forehead, and for the first time in days, warmth bloomed in my chest. The danger was over. The nightmare was behind us. As the twinkling lights of the tree reflected in our tear-streaked faces, I finally let myself believe it. We were safe, and no matter what came next, nothing could ever break us apart again.